People are always asking me about Chief Keef, King Von, and Lil Durk. I'm actually in McDonald's right now, and fans of the drill coach have seen me, and they asking me. I thought this was strong, so I had to make this video right here because I thought this was strong. They asked me, do you think Chief Keef would be in a bad situation and if him and King Von was super cool? Yes, I clearly believe that. I think if you look at Lil Durk linked himself to Von, tried to help him out and did things for him, and got himself caught in a murder for hire charge. I get it, that's his friend, but he wanted to take up for him. I think that King Von energy got on him, you know? Don't get me wrong, I think Von came from the streets, he came from situations that made his life have to go like this, but at the end of the day, shit just be crazy. I just think linking with Von was about that. He was a street dude. People know that. You seen his videos of him in jail beating people up and all kind of shit. He was legit. He was a real street cat, and he'll tell you this. But I do think linking with him kind of made problems for him, in my opinion, because, you know, before Von came around, Durk was known as a street cat, but he wasn't known to put in the work himself. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, other people putting in the work to do your card like this and link your name to this crime, I just thought was super crazy. Then if you look at like Oblock, Muwop, and all them, a lot of them guys messed their life up, you know, and the police said that they did it because it was money on Duck head that King Von was paying the bounty. Now, I don't believe that to a certain extent. I think Duck was ops of all of Oblock, not just King Von. You get what I'm saying? But I get it. The feds put it as if he was just Von op and they did this dirt for him. I think all of them dislike Duck, like Duck disliked all of them, not just Von. So, you know, a lot of people linked to Von got caught in a bad situation. We can't forget Louis. Louis was shot in the head during an altercation in Atlanta when King Von died. You know, Louis ended up sustaining injuries to the head and dying from them years later. You know, he survived that shooting, but like 3-4 years later, he ended up passing away from the injuries he caught during that shooting. Slutty was there too. Slutty, a good friend of King Von, he ended up being killed that day, you know. So it's a lot of people that took losses that was cool with King Von. We can't forget King Von is home. He was home off a murder case he beat years ago that had Wooski brother on it. He ended up beating the case. Wooski brother ended up getting 20-some years. But he got his time reduced years later off that crime. He home now. It had been about 5 or 6 people that had caused destruction hanging around King Von. Most have died. Some have went to jail for a long time. You know, so I do think Chief Keef distancing himself from Von and Oblock saved his life. I think Chief Keef would be involved in a lot of the same shit that Durk got involved in if he didn't distance himself. You know, that's what made Keef smart. Soon he got rich, he moved out the hood. You don't see Keef on features with songs from anybody back from the hood where he grew up with. Keef didn't get those guys features or nothing of that. He kind of distanced himself from that stuff, you know. That might have saved his life. Now, I don't want to put all this on Von because everybody they own man, and any enemies of Von was enemies of all of them. You get what I'm saying? So I don't think Von was just a guy that made people do things, but I do think his impact, his leadership, his vibe, his energy, I think people followed that. I think that's the reason why they called him king. I think he had like a leader mentality. I don't know if it was a good leader mentality or like a gang leader, but he'll let you know he was about that street shit, you know? Straight up street shit, in my opinion. I do think if he was alive right now, he would be so big that he probably would be forced to leave a lot of that street shit alone, a lot of that hood shit alone. I don't think Von would still be in O-Block if he was still alive, because he'd be like super, super huge, you know? So in my opinion, I think Keef distancing himself saved his life. I do believe that, you know. I think Keef being the face of the drill culture, being from O-Block, being cool with Von, I think Keef would have been wrapped up in a lot of this shit that everybody else got wrapped up in if he didn't distance himself from a lot of this shit. Keef took everybody that he loved and took them with him. And anybody else he didn't really fuck with like that, he left their ass back in the hood. So to answer the question that I was just asking at McDonald's, I thought that was a dope question. People see me and ask me street shit all the time. I do think Keef might have saved his life or saved a life sentence by distancing himself from them. That's why I want to ask y'all a question. If King Von was still alive and Keef never beefed with them and Keef was still as big as he is, do you think Keef would be in trouble? You think Keef would be alive? Do you think Keef would be in jail? Or do you think, what do you think of the Keef situation if him and Von was still cool? Because it's a lot of people that feel like King Von destroyed a lot of his homies once he came on. I'm not sure. Leave a comment. It's the only truth.